What's going on, guys? It's Rylan with Rylan's Amazing Photography, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be showing you all my two favorite lenses for wildlife photography. So, in my opinion, everyone needs both of these lenses in their bag if they're going to be doing wildlife photography. Whether it be Sony, Nikon, Canon, they all have similar lenses to the two that I'm about to show you all. I want to clear things up. These are both Nikon lenses before we get into the video, but Canon and Sony have similar lenses, especially the first one I'm going to talk about. The two lenses I'm going to be talking about in that order will be the Nikon 24-70 and the Nikon 200-500mm. However, before I start talking about the two lenses, I want to remind you guys to go down below and like today's video. While you're down there, you might as well go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. So the first lens I'm going to talk about is the Nikon 24-70. It's f2.8 and it's an absolute fantastic lens. In my opinion, it's easily the best zoom lens that you can get on the market. You're not going to find any other lens like this that can zoom in and zoom out and have that f2.8 with the smooth bokeh. Now, you're probably sitting there and you're thinking, Rylan, that's a portrait lens. And you're right, the main purpose for this lens is for portraiture. But it's not limited to that. I have a video where you can click right up here and go and watch about this lens. I have a review on it, full hands-on, and in the video I talk about landscape, portraiture. I do all different kinds of tests on the lens. It's a great lens. In that review I don't talk about wildlife, but this lens is outstanding for wildlife. And you're probably wondering why. Well, there's a couple of reasons. The main reason being, it can get the whole scene into focus. You're going to see so much more with this. If you're out on a safari, I definitely recommend having this lens on your secondary or even maybe primary camera. There could be a giraffe or a lion or an elephant out in the distance, and you can use this lens to kind of get a wide angle and get the scenery around the animal, which is something that you can't really use a big long telephoto lens to showcase, but with a lens like this you can. I haven't ever really got the chance to use this lens to show the surroundings of a subject because I've never really been in a beautiful location to where the surroundings are just as gorgeous as the animal itself. I definitely look forward to being able to do that one day, but it's just not happened for me yet. But I'm really excited to try that out when it does. What I have gotten to use this lens for is extremely close wildlife. Wildlife that's not going to be afraid of you, such as a turtle or a frog or a lizard. Kind of more smaller animals that might be more on the amphibian side, that, or like not necessarily something that's going to be like, afraid of people. Now, obviously, the turtle and the frog are probably scared, but they're not going to like go running away like a deer or a moose or something along that sort would. Now, I've also seen birds that will get really close to humans, and I've seen places like that. Like, I've seen hummingbirds fly really close to humans. I've seen birds eat seeds out of humans' hands. If you live in an area where that happens common, this would be a really great lens for that. The only downside is you can get a telephoto for about the same amount of money you can this one. But that's not a huge deal breaker because the telephoto doesn't have the smooth bokeh like this lens does. I've never seen a lens perform as well as this one does as a zoom lens. So enough talking about the wide angle lens. You're probably here to hear about this big telephoto. Back when I first got into photography and I realized that I really enjoyed shooting wildlife, this lens was the #1 on my list, and I ended up getting it, and it's been the best purchase I think I've ever made, ever. This lens it's absolutely fantastic, and you're not going to hear me praise a lens necessarily very much. I don't praise gear. I think a lot of the work is from the photographer, but in this case, this lens has helped me get so many shots that there's no way I could have ever gotten without it. I've been able to get really close to animals and just zoom in on their outstanding features, and it does great. It does really good detail. It's really sharp. It's an outstanding lens, and I definitely recommend getting this lens. A good thing about this as well is it's not a prime. Now there's 500mm primes that you can buy as well, which they're obviously a lot more expensive, but they don't zoom, which can be a downside, but it can also be a positive because you're allowing more light into the camera because it's a higher f-stop. But we're not going to talk about that. So I think being able to zoom is a plus personally, because if there's a bird flying towards you and it gets too close, you're not able to zoom out with the prime. With a zoom lens, you can obviously zoom out and make sure that the bird is still in the frame. You can also somewhat use a zoom lens to capture the surroundings around an animal, but even at 200mm, that's pretty difficult to do. Those are easily the top two lenses that you should have for wildlife photography. If they're not in your bag, you should definitely consider putting them in there. I bought them both, and I have no regrets about either one of them. They've both been fantastic for me. Although the 24-70 you might not necessarily think being a wildlife lens, it is, and it works for one, and it's 100% recommended by me, yours truly. So I think that you all should definitely consider investing in both of those lenses. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. It means the world to me. If you enjoyed it, definitely make sure you go down below and like the video. You can also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. If you want to watch a bird photography video where I'm actually out in the field, feel free to click right here. I also have reviews on both of the lenses. I mentioned the 24-70 review earlier, but you can also click to watch the Nikon 200-500 review right here. I love both of those lenses. They're both my prized possessions, and in my opinion, your lens is always going to matter more than your camera. So make sure that you're putting the money where it should be, which is in that glass, in those lenses. Once again, thank you all so much for watching today's video. I really hope it helped you, and I hope you guys have an amazing day.